This is our new weed whacker. It's the FS 38 Stihl, and it's a pretty powerful weed whacker. We have another one. It's battery powered. It does a pretty good job too. Also a Stihl, and but it's just not the same as this one. This one's like an industrial strength, and then there's this one. What about it?
What is it?
This is the same one, but an older model. So this is like older model, different setup in the line, right? So the problem with this one is it's easier, but it looks more complicated at first, because the way that some people, i.e. us, were trying to do this, we were like taking this, I guess we were sort of ignoring the instructions, because the instructions do say what to do, but somehow we weren't doing exactly what they said, even though it's like when you reread it later it makes sense. But this thing, we were like taking this off, so when this thing was like low on thread, we were like taking this part off, which if you're by yourself in the middle of some like lawn in the middle of the day sweating, and you're trying to like do this with, you know, by yourself, to push this down and then like unscrew it from here, which, well, that was pretty easy. So, but I've had it where it's like I'm not pushing it down properly or something's wrong. So then this thing is on here, and then say this thing just falls off, okay, or you run out. So then we're at this point, we're gonna put some new thread on. So we put this thing is attached here, and then you put this on. What we were doing is trying to wrap this around this, sticking it in these different holes with these arrows and stuff, as if this thing is supposed to be like threaded and lined, like the line attached to it first. But that actually isn't the case, according to another guy on YouTube. So I figured I'd make another video, just because, you know, there can't be too many videos showing the correct way of doing this, because the way where you wrap it around this thing, like, is definitely a very frustrating process, and it doesn't even work. So you'd think that you would just be winding it like this and trying to put it in these notches, these little holes with these arrows, but that is not the case. So first of all, you have to take this and put it on, and line up the arrows with there's like some arrows on here. There's an arrow here, and there's an arrow here. So I line up these arrows, push this in, and then tighten this until this thing is just attached, threaded on the, you know, the tiny bit of threading that's on this part of the contraption. And then this thing should get tighter, because you can just spin this thing around and nothing happens, but it's actually tightening, so that's good. So now this thing's attached. So then you take this piece of thread, and this is supposed to be 6'6", but this is just, you know, a couple feet long, and then put it in this hole until you meet resistance, which is like, you know, very quickly. So you put, actually no, there's like a point where there's resistance, then you push it again, and it goes further, and then it stops again. So there's like two little stops in there. And then you take the other piece, and I might add that I'm not really mechanical or anything, but so that's why I was having trouble with this at first, because, you know, certain people are not, you know, naturally gifted with weed whackers, I guess. So then I put this in, it meets resistance, and I push past the resistance, and it meets another resistance in there. And then it's just as simple as pushing this in and, you know, ka-chunking it a few times around here, like counterclockwise, and then it sucks in the thread or the line.
Is there an arrow on that white part that shows you what counterclockwise is, or do you have to remember counterclockwise?
There's an arrow pointing that way.
Okay,
there's
so
two
you
arrows.
twist it down toward that
Push
arrow.
a little and then twist. Ow! And then it just goes in.
And by the way, did you hear that siren?
Yeah,
that's probably somebody not behaving themselves with their lawnmower or their weed eater, because these are dangerous machines.
No, it's probably someone that tried to do this the other way and is now going to the mental institution.
That too.
Because certain people try to do this the wrong way, and then certain people get very frustrated.
Well, how long have you owned that machine?
Like about a week.
And you've tried it a million times, right?
Yeah, every couple of days I give it another attempt.
And it finally, you got it to work.
Well, because I did it the way that the other guy said to do it, and it didn't work. And then I thought, okay, that's crazy. Just stick it in the like hole. It can't be that easy. And then I did it the other crazy way where you're wrapping it around this part when it's off, and that didn't make any sense because it's like you can barely get it on.
Okay.
And now doing it this way.
So one click at a time.
Yeah. Just kind of, and you can't really see that. You can see that it's moving, but you can't really. It's sort of an optical illusion, like because it's not like you sort of see it getting sucked in, but it just does get shorter if it's working properly. Which was the problem yesterday, is I couldn't see it moving, and actually, in fact, it was not moving. And so I didn't think this method worked, even though the guy made it look easy on YouTube. I'm like, well...
Yeah, and I think what happened was, at one stage, you were turning that, and the black knob that you used to tighten it,
yeah,
the spool together, wasn't tight.
It wasn't
so
tight.
It just came and fell off.
Yeah, and also I was doing it where I was pushing them both down and turning them somehow, so
Right.
the thing just fell off.
So you got to make sure it's secure before you start playing around with the cord.
Yeah. So it had to be, yeah, so that was the main fail, was trying to put this thing on with this off, like wrapping it around this thing when this thing's detached.
All right, so once you get it, where do you stop twisting?
When they're both, like...
How long?
I'd say, well, once this is probably within this...
All right, because there's a
bumper
blade
area
there that will cut it off if you get the motor running, because it doesn't want it to be longer than where the guard is, the green guard.
Yeah, you can also just decide, you know, it's like...
Yeah, but that guard's on there for a reason.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd be whippersnipping your ankles.
That's true. And then I get, but you know, different gardeners have different flares for, you know.
How you hold it, you mean?
Well, no, I mean just like the length of this.
Oh, I see. Well, I think it's supposed to be about as long as the guard. There's a blade there. Where's the blade on the guard? The green thing. Yeah, down there, your finger's on.
Oh, yeah, there's a blade.
Yeah, that cuts it, so it's not longer than that. But what happens if you hit some rocks or fence or big, tall, thick weeds and the cord gets really, really short? How do you get the cord to be longer?
Then you're just supposed to hit this once on the ground.
On the ground. Tap it on the ground and it releases more.
Once and it releases more. Like
Right, but it'll never be longer than that razor blade green guard.
Yeah, it's going to get all, like, you know, bad things will happen if it's like this long and it's spinning around like at however many RPMs. It can't be too long or else it won't practically work, you know.
Okay, so it looks like you're close.
Pretty close.
Do you pull it now, both of those cords?
That's about...
Should you pull it? Like out?
Give it a little tug maybe.
Okay. Now, are you going to talk about how to start this baby?
No.
Okay, that's the end of that.
The end of this video.
Okay.